Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another shell that we haven't tested on the channel in probably over a year now, but from what I can remember, these were a pretty decent performer. So how can they do through this relatively new choke to me? I think it should look pretty good, but we'll see how they do together. But for the shells I brought out here today, I got out some of the Burgess Creek ammo, but these are a 410 3-inch 7/8 ounce payload of TSS 9-shot, and there's no box claimed velocity here, but from what I can remember, these are some pretty decent performing shells, so we'll see what they can do through today's choke combination. But as for today's setup, I brought out my Mossberg 500 410. It's got a 24-inch barrel on it, and for the choke, we've got a Kicks Gobblin Thunder in here. Now these are supposed to measure out at 385 constriction, but mine comes out much closer to a 383, so a little bit tighter than advertised, but that should be a pretty decent performing constriction for these shells. So we'll see what it can do. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the turkey target at 40 yards and the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shells. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see how the Burgess Creek 9s can do through the Kicks Gobblin Thunder. I've got some decent hopes for it, but let's take a shot and see what kind of a pattern it gives us. Alright, that shell gave us 1108 through the chrono, so I would say we're looking perfectly fine for a velocity, but how did they actually pattern through that Gobblin Thunder down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and yeah, we absolutely have a dead bird there all day long. There's a handful of them right through the brain, and a number more of them down through the spine. So yeah, absolutely 40-yard capable pattern all day long. Now, looking at our core here, I really like that central 10 inches right around that bird's neck. It's a nice even spread of them there. It's not overly tight, but that's a very nice hunting pattern type of a core right there. It gives you leeway to work with. There's nowhere left or right on that paper that bird can move to and get away from you. So I really like that. Now outside of that 10-inch circle towards the edges of this turkey paper, mainly right down here at the bottom right and stuff, we do pick up a few voids, and maybe right above that bird's beak there might be another one. So it's not perfectly even all the way through and through, but for the most part what's on that turkey paper is a very nice huntable 40-yard type of pattern. Now outside of that turkey paper around the edges, we definitely have a little bit of broad and splotchy stuff around there. So the edges are not necessarily ideal, but they're not the worst we've ever seen either. There's a number of flyers and stuff around there, so not perfect overall, but that is far from a terrible 410 pattern all day long. I would not be scared in the slightest to hunt with that pattern, and if you're somebody that prefers a little more leeway or a little more wiggle room, that's a really nice hunting pattern for you. You've got plenty of pellets right through the 10-inch core area of the pattern to get the job done. You could push that to 45 yards as well and still have plenty enough pellets to do the job, but in at closer ranges, 20, 25, 30 yards, it's gonna still give you a little more breathing room as well, which a lot of people do like. So that's a solid pattern overall. I think we have seen a little bit better from these shells previously, if I'm remembering correctly, or at least a little more condensed or a little more even of a spread as far as those outer edges go, and maybe these Burgess Creek shells prefer to be choked down a little bit more. I do have a Pattern Master 381 constriction now that we can run these through, and that might be the perfect combo for these, because it doesn't look like we blew our pattern out any, just looks like a little touch more constriction might be what these really like, just to bring those edges in a little bit and maybe give us a little bit hotter of a core area as well. So that might be the ticket there. But if this is the combo you had or the combo you wanted to run, you would absolutely have a 40-yard capable turkey pattern. So although it's been a good while since we've tested any of these Burgess Creek shells, they still seem to be some pretty decent performers overall, but maybe still a little bit of fine-tuning to do, which is no big deal. And that's why you test as many different combos as you can before you go out on a hunt, see what performs well or what you really like in your setup. So overall here today, like I've already said, I like what's on that turkey paper there, but maybe we can still condense the edges down just a little bit more. But I'd say overall that combination did pretty decently together. And here's the wad from that shell, very typical 410 stuff. There's nothing stuck down in there, but we did have a couple petals open farther than the rest. But that is a Kicks choke, and they're kind of known to be a little rough on wads. It doesn't look like it really damaged it or snagged it or anything, but it just kind of opened it up a little bit more, which isn't a huge deal. We've seen it a number of times, and I think it did okay for what we were supposed to get out of it today. But I still think we can choke these down a little bit more and maybe tighten things up just a little bit, but nothing too out of the ordinary as far as the wad goes. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? Some people might prefer a little bit tighter of an overall pattern, but a lot of people like a little bit more breathing room or a little more leeway, especially if you're going to be taking a lot more 20, 25, 30 yard type of shots with the occasional 40 yard reach. That combination is going to do perfectly fine for you. For a 410, not too bad. I definitely wouldn't be scared to hunt with that combo, but I still think we can refine it a little bit, and I think a little more choke constriction might just be what these want. But still, not a terrible performance or combination at all. But leave your thoughts in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Burgess Creek 410 shells, and if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Would you hunt with that pattern or that combination? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either these Burgess Creek shells or that Kicks Gobblin Thunder? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.